Heidi Brumbaugh here with Be Well TV. Today, Be Well TV is live from Las Vegas, live at noon, where the strip is actually a little bit darker than I'm used to. It's been a long time since I've been in Vegas. And today I'm here with my good friend Tony Arias, entertainer extraordinaire. Tony, thank you so much for coming on over.
Thank you so much for having me. And you forgot entertainer extraordinaire and runway model.
I did forget. I know. You know what? I left the bio over on the counter and didn't get to read the entire introduction.
That's okay. They probably already know that. They probably already know my bio. It's so wonderful to have you back in Las Vegas, along with your husband.
Still the first one.
Right. Oh, Jim.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So it's wonderful to have him here as well. It was great to have you guys over for dinner last night. We told lots of stories, and we had just that journey down memory lane, and it was just a lot of laughs. And we can't share all those stories with you today, unfortunately.
No. That might be the R-rated version of Be Well TV,
exactly.
coming later to a theater near you.
And how exciting that you're doing this Be Well television for people to be well.
I think it's exciting.
I misunderstood because I thought it was like a well that the water comes.
Where you like throw in coins?
Yeah, exactly.
Make a wish.
Yes, make a wish. Make a wish. Well.
No, that's not even what it is at all. Oh. It's all about wellness of mind, body, and spirit. And I think that a large portion of your wellness of mind, body, and spirit is laughter.
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
Laughter. Laughter is healing. Laughter is an emotion that we need, just like we need to cry every once in a while. We need to shout. We need to scream. We need to laugh. We need to laugh.
And I think a lot of people haven't been able to laugh in the last year.
No.
So I actually want to tell the story of what happened last year. The last time we saw each other was actually here in Las Vegas at Mandalay Bay. We were doing a show for special event people. You were emceeing the TSE live stage at the special event.
Yeah, I did a great
where
job.
you should have been performing to your clients and buyers and getting lots of contracts out of it. And things went differently.
It did go differently, and I remember how good I was. I remember how good I was doing, and I kept thinking, what a shame that lots of people are not seeing it and they're not enjoying it. And I thought, you know what? Part of me being the person of the wellness that I find within being well is that I entertained myself, and I was well with that. I felt good about it. But you're right. We went on to put on a show for 7,000 people, and we were lucky to have 70 or whatever it was throughout the day. And that's when the shutdown was just beginning. It was on March 12th of last year, and it was just a moment of denial. It was a moment of unbelief. We couldn't understand what was taking place, and things were canceling left and right, and people were losing their jobs, and all of us were just standing around. But at the same time, the show had to go on. The show had to go on. Well, I still had to try and make people laugh, and that's not always easy when everybody's in this moment of disbelief. And if you've noticed, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you have, when you're as good looking as I, it's hard to make people laugh, because they're overwhelmed by my looks. If I was ugly, it'd be a whole different story, right? And I've always said that. If I was, a different look, me being a comedian is much harder than people who are.
It's like a burden.
It is a burden. It is a burden.
Right.
But you know what? I do it because I love people. I love to make people well with humor and with good looks. And I think we can do. In fact, I may start a channel. Good looks and wellness. That's what I'm going to do. Thank you, Heidi.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And we'll be back after these messages.
For anyone that would like a little more information, the event that we were doing was March 11th and 12th, and even the difference of those days, the 11th started out a little unusual.
Yes.
But within 24 hours, we heard that the NBA had canceled the rest of its season. Weddings were canceled.
Yeah.
I actually was leaving Las Vegas to go straight to a cruise. And that was canceled, I think, 11 hours or 12 hours before we were scheduled to depart. So the whole world just went through all of that. And for those of the viewers that aren't a part of the events industry, we were literally the first to kind of stop and have not really resumed. But you've kept a great attitude and still maintained your sense of humor and had a lot of fun in the last year.
I have, and I'm asked that all the time. How do you keep that feeling of optimism and so forth, and how do you just keep laughing about everything? And I think it's because all of us have to wake up in the morning at some point, whether morning comes in the morning or comes in the evening, but all of us have to wake up at some point, and I think all of us have to look at ourselves in the mirror, and we have to love who that person is, regardless of what's going on in the world. And when I wake up in the morning and I see this, how can I not love this and be thankful for it at the same time?
And you have to share it. You're forced to share it.
I have to share it. So I do. I laugh in the morning. I laugh in the shower. I laugh before I go to bed at night. It's just a habit. It really is a habit. And a lot of times I don't realize. I laugh in my sleep all the time. I wake myself up laughing in my sleep, and my husband, who's sleeping next to me, I'll say, I woke myself up laughing. He goes, yes, you did it again. I'm like, I know, but it was funny, and then I go right back to sleep. And it's honest to God's truth, I do it all the time. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just feel that if we create our own happiness, we create our own world, even this world that we live in, there's a part of this world that is just ours, and I think we need to stay on top of it and inside it, and we need to maintain it. And it would have been very easy, as you know, to sit on the couch on a daily basis and watch the news and just get depressed and see what was going on in the world and politics and everything else, and it was just bizarre. It was easy to get caught up in that, but I chose to just turn things off and just kind of enjoy the movies that I really enjoy. Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and the Pink Panther and the Three Stooges, and everything else just makes me laugh. And I went, this is my world right now, and this is what it will be. And until that world out there gets settled or situated, this will be my world for right now.
Well, you've done some other things to keep people laughing, because since you couldn't be in person, people couldn't come to your shows and watch you in person.
Right.
You have gone online, and you've done a lot of online concerts, online benefits.
Yes, and that was a tough call for me to make, because everybody was doing it. Everybody and their brother had some type of Facebook Live or YouTube channel or something, and with all due respect, it was coming from the entertainment background, and you know what I'm talking about. There's something about production value, or there's something about putting some effort into it. And I just thought that some people were just standing in their bathrooms, which could be funny, but they were taking it so seriously that I go, I can't watch this. This is just ridiculous. And so I was hesitant to take up the cause and go on Facebook Live or YouTube, but I eventually did. But I wanted to team it up with something that was going to benefit not me necessarily, because I was going to get some enjoyment out of it just by performing. But I contacted a very dear friend of mine here in Las Vegas, who's an amazing musician. His name is Mr. Keith Thompson, and he helps and writes and produces and co-writes and arranges a lot of my shows. And he wrote a song, because when there's devastation, you write a song. He wrote a song, and then started a foundation and a nonprofit to help all the local Las Vegas entertainers, or everybody who was associated with the Las Vegas entertainment, fund. And he started up this fund at thecomposershowcase.com, and it's called the TCS Entertainment Community Relief Fund. And so people were able to donate money while we were performing. We only did 1 hour shows live on Facebook. And they were able to donate, and we would take requests and so forth, and just be silly and just have a good time. But that money, over $150,000, has been raised through that fund here in Las Vegas.
That's amazing.
I know. I know. Apparently, I can pull in the numbers. Apparently, you put my name on something, and I'm there. The money just pours out of every, crevice. But we've raised over $150,000, and the money was going out just as fast as it was coming in.
Sure.
So people who were in the entertainment field were filling out applications online, and the money was being sent to them directly to pay their bills, to pay their electric bill, to pay their rent, whatever the case may be. So we've been doing it on a monthly basis, and it makes me feel good that I'm not just it's not just about my ego and me getting out there and performing. We're helping other people along the way, and it's made me feel good. And I've always said that in times of tragedy and times of self-pity, the way that we get out of that is by helping somebody else. And so that was my way, and still is my way to keep going through what we're going to combat all this stuff that we're going through.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey, and it's been a challenge, but it hasn't been as bad as I thought it was going to be, other than I'm not working.
Well, and you're always very generous. You've been very generous forever. And another thing that you have done that there's no way anyone would be aware of unless they're kind of in your inner circle, but you've taken some people into your home. Because to the Rhinestone Manor, which anyone that watches any of your Facebook Live videos or anything like that gets a little sneak peek into what the manor looks like. And if anyone is interested in checking that out, they go to what's the Facebook page?
The Facebook page is Tony Arias LV. At Facebook Live.
And that actually is Tony's home.
Yes,
It's where he lives,
yes.
Rhinestone Manor.
is actually our home, yes.
And you've invited several people to stay in this home, and it's almost like you've started your own little community.
Yes, yes. We have. Everybody has a job. Some people do laundry. Some people do gardening. No, it's not true.
Well, I know you're looking for a handyman.
Yeah, I'm looking for a handyman as well.
There's a room open.
The house is fascinating, and it has nothing to do with really my past, but the house was built in 1971 by the gentleman who designed Cleopatra's Barge at Caesar's Palace. So the neighbors told us that when we moved into the house, that the whole house was covered in black Caesar's Palace carpeting with the gold emblem.
Like the kind that you see in the casino?
Exactly.
So like with the patterns?
Right, exactly. So the whole house was covered in it.
Which is great if you spill.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Give on to Caesar. What is Caesar's? And then we found out that the house was then sold to the Los Angeles Lakers Association back in the 70s, and they used it as a party pad. Because back then, Las Vegas didn't cater to big party type stuff.
Right.
Then. And so, God knows what happened in that house. I have no idea, but we used to have basketball courts all around the house. And then the Los Angeles Lakers Association then gave the house to a nonprofit for troubled teens. And they tore up the neighborhood, and so the neighbors made them take the house back. So eventually, we purchased the house from a lady from Hawaii, and she had 9 kids. And so this house, which is 7,500 square feet and has 2 full kitchens and 8 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms and 4 air conditioning units and so forth and so on. It's a massive home.
Right.
And you should never ever buy a home if it makes you laugh. You may buy a home for, the reasons that we buy a home for investment and, that enjoy living, but we bought the house because it made us laugh.
Right.
It's a stupid reason to purchase a home. But we should have asked, how much is the electric bill? How much is the water bill? How much is that? I didn't. I just said, well, take it. This is funny. This is ridiculous. And we've made it even more ridiculous over the years. And so it's called Rhinestone Manor, and we just love it, and it's a loving place. And yes, I think if you have something, then you should share it, whether it be your looks or your talent or gifts or whatever it may be. I think you should sell it.
Well, and it's been a great place to spend time when you've had to be at home more.
Yes.
And it's great to have your close circle come to your special occasions when you can get a small group together and entertain. And I think that you've had so many great stories in the home and so many stories to tell.
Yes, a lot.
In the last year and in all of history.
Yeah, we've been there for 18 years, so you can imagine the stories and the parties and the gatherings and the soirees and everything else that we've had there. It's been a lot of fun and a blessing to us, and we love entertaining, and we love having a good time, and we love having friends and family. And the great thing is that we choose who our family is. I mean, there's blood family, of course, but there's also family that we get to choose,
Yes.
like us and everything that we've experienced and shared together, and the laughs and everything else. It's wonderful, and we like to incorporate that into our daily living, and so our home is definitely open to those that mean so much to us, and we have a good time.
And you've always kind of made light of a situation when something was very serious. Rather than letting the situation get you down, you make light of it and you laugh at it.
Absolutely.
Like, I know there's a story about your grandmother, your very dear grandmother, and a very serious situation that you managed to have fun and laugh, because that's all you can do.
Nothing, I believe, in this life is too taboo to laugh at. Now, obviously, there's moments where there's a time and place for,
Sure,
for laughter and joking around and so on. But in my opinion, I know it's just my opinion, and I'm probably people are going to disagree, but nothing is taboo in this life that we can't laugh with or laugh at. And my grandmother came down with Alzheimer's, and Scotty, my husband, and I moved in with her to take care of her with Alzheimer's. I have to tell you right off the bat, she was not a very nice woman to begin with. She just wasn't. And I adored her, and she adored me, and I was probably one of her favorite grandchildren.
Naturally.
Of course. Why wouldn't I be? And I sang for her all the time, a lot of Conway Twitty. She loved Conway Twitty. So when we moved in and took care of her, she had the Alzheimer's was developing, and it was getting worse and worse, and so they call it sundowning. I don't know if you've heard that term before, but if you look it up, in Alzheimer's patients, they call it sundowning, and it usually happens around 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Meaning that in the morning they're pretty good, memory-wise, they're doing pretty well. And then later in the afternoon they just they get worse and they get worse and they get worse until they actually go to bed. And at night is when we would be exhausted taking care of her and watching over her throughout the day. And by night, we're ready to sit down and relax and watch television. And that's when she was restless. That's when her mind was just floating all over the place, bless her. And she was up. We were watching television. She was up and down the hallway of her home. And in her home, she had a coat closet. And she opened up the door to this coat closet that she acted like she'd never seen before, and had lived in the house for many, many years, and she had seen it before, but again, it's the Alzheimer's. As she opened up the door, she said, "What is all this stuff in here? What is all this?" Now, Scotty and I were just kind of going, what is she talking about? And I realized that she's talking about her closet.
Everything that belongs to her.
Everything that belongs to her is in this coat closet. And I said, well, it's all your stuff. Well, this isn't my stuff. I have good stuff. This isn't my stuff. This stuff is crap. This isn't mine. She had a horrible, filthy mouth on her, and I'm editing this for all the children that are watching. So I said to her, well, I don't know what you're going to do with it. So she started pulling all of this stuff, her stuff, out of the closet and throwing it into the hallway.
Right.
And we just went, you know what? I'm not going to even bother. We're watching television. I'm not going to bother. He's keeping her busy. That's all that matters. She's busy. So she empties out the entire closet. She slams the door. And then here's all the stuff here. And she goes, well, what's all this stuff? What's all this doing here? And I said, well, didn't you just put it? No, I didn't put it there. I said, you know what, here's an idea. I said, you see that closet? I said, if I was you, I would take all that stuff and I'd put it in the closet. And she opens, she goes, that's a good idea. And I said, yes, good for you. So she took her an hour to put all this stuff back in the closet, and she shut the door proudly. And she's looking around, and she's looking around, and she's feeling around, and she's touching the walls, and she goes, what is this? It's the doorknob to the same closet. So she turns the knob, opens up the door, and goes, what's all this? What is all this? And I said, well, I don't know. They must have left it there. They must have. Who the hell is they?
The they.
But I just said it just so we can move on with the conversation. I said, they must have left. She goes, well, they're not going to leave it here. And I said, well, they shouldn't unless they're going to pay you rent for it. She goes, no. And I said, well, she goes, I'm going to pull it out. I said, well, then pull it all out. She took another hour, and she pulled all this stuff out, and we went through the whole scenario 3 times that night with her going, what is all this? I'm sorry. My family at the time, not all of them, some of them did find it funny. And then other family members did not find it funny. That, to me, was funny. It was pure entertainment, and it kept her busy. It kept her mind going, and she stayed busy, she stayed active, and it was extremely entertaining for us. But either that or chain them up and lock them onto a chair and have them rot to death.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. So if this is what life is going to throw at us, then we're going to have some fun with it. And she would have, if she was in, all of her mind was there, she would have laughed at this. She would have.
Of course.
So I would hope that, God forbid, if I ever come down with it, that you would play the same type of...
I think that God guarantees that you will definitely come down with some sort of horrible disease that you will not remember, and people will make fun of you, and you will appreciate them for it.
As long as it's making people laugh. That's all that matters to me. Wellness and laughter with wellness. That's what I love. That's what I love. I love it.
Well, Tony, I can't wait to see you back on stage again.
Gosh.
I hope it's coming soon. I think that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
I believe so. I really do.
I know that you will be touring around the world on cruise ships and I don't know where else. Where else can people find you?
Well, they can go to TonyArias.com. And they can find out my schedule. There's video clips, and there's all kinds of stuff there. There's my jams and jellies. I'm kidding.
Recipe book.
My Chipotle pancakes. Those are awesome. You go to TonyArias.com. It's TonyArias. My TonyArias.com. TonyArias.com.
Oh, I hope you got that right. That would be embarrassing.
Or look me up on Facebook. Or I'm also on Twitter. I'm also on Twitter.
And I'm sure if they get close enough, they'll just hear you wherever you are.
Absolutely, my God. That's another thing. That's been a hard part for me to all these years. I'm 53 years old. I know. I'm 53 years old, and my voice has not changed since I was 6. So it's weird. It's weird. Actually, I went through puberty at the age of 7. And that was the last year I got to trick or treat. That's the honest to God's truth.
Oh.
My voice had dropped, and I was already almost 6 foot at the age of 7. And they slammed the door in my face saying, "You're too big for trick or treating."
Oh, and then it just caused an addiction.
This is what happened today. So this is where we are today because
perfection.
Of that. Exactly.
Perfection.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be on this magnificent show.
Thank you so much for being a part of it, Tony.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. It was so great to see you. Thanks so much for being a part of this. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I appreciate you watching. Tony, be well.
Thank
Folks
you.
at home, be well. We'll see you next time.